Welcome to Living the Empowered Life podcast, where we discuss all things empowering, encouraging and inspiring. My name is Yvonne Ellis. I'm an empowerment speaker, author, coach, trainer and founder of Yumi Empowerment, a company that facilitates the empowerment of people. I help people to make positive life change, live in their purpose and develop into their best version of self. I share stories, interviews, spiritual encouragement and actionable tips to empower, encourage and inspire you to live the life you want. So if you want to live the empowered life, join me each week on my podcast so we can take the journey together. Hello Empowered Lifers! Welcome to episode 115 of Living the Empowered Life podcast. My name is Yvonne, I am your host, and today I want you to do a quick episode to just keep you up to date with things and to discuss about getting to know yourself. So before I get into all that, I hope that you are all well. If you're new here to this podcast, I welcome you. Please do check out my other episodes. On this podcast, I share all things empowering, encouraging and inspiring. And, I talk about a range of different things. And you can find my episodes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. Also as well, if you go to the yumiempowerment.com website, you will find the podcast on my website. And also as well, I do upload these episodes to YouTube. So however you prefer to listen to these episodes, there is something for you. And if you haven't subscribed or hit the follow button to be notified of when I upload, usually it is bi-weekly, but at the moment I've been trying to do an episode a month just because of work and other commitments. Please do hit the follow or subscribe button so you don't miss any notifications. So guys, so much has been happening, so much going on, but all really great things. As I mentioned in my last episode, I was saying that once a month I will be uploading for the time being, just because work and everything is busy, but lots of positive and good things have been going on for me. I am preparing also alongside work and other commitments to release my sixth book, Exceptional Not Expected Volume 2. It should be released sometime in November, beginning of December. So I'm excited to be sharing that with you guys in upcoming episodes. Also as well, I have been, doing things, going out and about a little bit more. This year I haven't really done a lot of out and about just because of work and stuff. But last week I went to afternoon tea at Harrods. That was amazing, really, really good. I wasn't too keen on the food though, but just the ambience and the atmosphere that they created, the customer service, it was definitely 10 out of 10. I would give the food, I think, probably about a 7 out of 10. I have had other afternoon teas at other kind of 5-star hotels, which were, absolutely exceptional. Claridge's being one of them, and Lanesborough, and, on par with those, the afternoon teas. The afternoon tea at Harrods wasn't quite up to that standard, but still it was a nice experience to have. I was expecting a little bit more just because of Harrods being associated with luxury and things like that. I was expecting the afternoon tea, the sandwiches to be a little bit more, but nevertheless, I still enjoyed it. I did eat my sandwiches and my cakes. I brought some home for my family. They didn't touch them. But I enjoyed the experience. I also as well went to the affordable art fair. I went to that on the same day. I usually go twice a year. I enjoy going to that because I do like art and I have liked art for a number of years. I do miss my Clarendon visits. I haven't gone on one of those for ages, so I'm probably going to hit going out and doing that in the next couple of weeks. But I like art, so I like going to these types of things. Lots of really cool new artists that I've seen, and yeah, it was just a nice afternoon thing to do on a Friday. Also as well, the week before I went to Cartier exhibition, which was really good. I did say in a post I did on my Instagram, for those of you who are not following me on Instagram, it's Yumi Empowerment, _empowerment. Over there I share, pictures and things of, things that I'm doing out and about. I did share in a post a couple of weeks ago that I went to Cartier exhibition. I thought it was really good, had some beautiful pieces, and I shared like my top 6 on that post, or one of the posts. but I did prefer the Tiffany exhibition when I went to Saatchi Gallery a couple of years ago. That was absolutely amazing, and I'm more of a Tiffany girl anyway. I've collected pieces from Tiffany since probably about 15 years ago, so that is always going to be, not that I can afford to shop there all the time or anything, but I do have certain pieces from there, and I did prefer Tiffany's kind of craftsmanship when it came to like their pieces. Not to say that I didn't enjoy Cartier's pieces. I thought they were beautiful, but Tiffany, I think their style I kind of gravitate towards their style. But it was a great exhibition to visit. And, I was sharing, just having a joke about my middle-age activities. Now that I'm 49, paying, memberships for places like V&A Museum and stuff, and really investing in some of my hobbies. And I probably will do an episode on hobbies and getting into things that you like as well. So I will definitely probably touch upon that. But in today's episode, guys, I wanted to just quickly share with you what you need to know about you. And I was thinking about this because just some of the conversations I've had with women over 40, I realised that a lot of women are still trying to figure things out. Lots of things have happened for them. Many of us, and I've gone through this myself, especially as we hit 40, we realise that, we've been living on autopilot. Sometimes that can happen because, we're in different roles. Like, for me, a large majority of my earlier years, I was mother to 2 children. So my kind of a big part of my life, big part of my identity and the things that I did was around my children. Now my youngest, she's 19 years old. My little princess, she's 19 now. So my life and who I am and the things that I'm doing has really changed. But many of us did operate in autopilot, or some of us are still operating in autopilot, where, we have children and, we're a partner, employee, caregiver. But, there are different times where we don't even stop to ask ourselves, what do I really want? What do I really like? What really matters to me? And a lot of the time we operate in this autopilot space and we build our lives around survival and not really taking into account self-awareness about what we want and ourselves. And also as well, some of us have experienced trauma, rejection and loss. And I just want to encourage you, if you do feel disconnected from who you are, I want to say to you, you can find yourself. You're not a failure. The fact that you realise that you feel disconnected and might not know yourself and you want to know yourself, it's really a stage now in your life where you're probably going to start to be at a point of awakening. And before I get into the episode, I want to share with you a couple of quotes about getting to know yourself. So the first quote comes from John C. Maxwell. He is a Christian leadership expert. I have quite a few of his books and they're quite inspiring. He says, to grow yourself, you must know yourself. That is definitely something I do definitely believe, because obviously if you get to know yourself, you'll get to know what areas of yourself you need to grow in and develop and improve in. So I agree with that. The next quote says, the better you know yourself, the better your relationship is with the rest of the world. I definitely do agree. And as I said, this episode is about what you need to know about you, getting to know yourself, especially if you're over 40 and you're trying to still figure yourself out. So here are some things I believe what you need to start uncovering yourself. So your core values. These are things like your inner compass, your motivations, what drives you, what feels right or wrong deep down. You need to ask yourself, what have I felt most fulfilled in? What moments have brought me the most peace or pride? As always, in my episodes, if you've been listening long enough, I always encourage you to write down, if you've got a journal, any discussion points that I talk about in these episodes. It's something I encourage my coaching clients to do as an empowerment coach. It's really important that you have something to focus on and think about so that you can reflect and write things down. So if you've got a journal, great, write it down. It can even be a notebook. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I encourage you to write these points down. The next thing I want to share with you is your true desires. This is really important because a lot of us, I found in my experience as well, up until a certain point as a wife and a mother, sometimes I was doing things what other people expected me to do, but not what my soul longed for. And, it wasn't an intentional thing. It was just, these are the things that were going on at the time. Focus on being a wife, a mother, and all my responsibilities and stuff. It's very easy to focus on what others expect of you rather than focusing on what you want for yourself or expect for yourself. And your soul could be longing for things like creativity, freedom, connection, or rest. Give yourself permission to want what you want. That is another key thing, because it's very easy when others have expectations of you to feel like you're being selfish because you want what you want. And actually, there's nothing wrong with that. Other people are able to have what they want and it not be questioned, and you're entitled to the same thing. So, you give yourself permission to want what you want. The next thing you need to start uncovering about yourself is your energy patterns. Notice what drains you and what lights you up. There's a clue to where you're meant to grow. Over 40, your energy becomes precious. Spend it wisely. I've talked about this on videos, that I value my peace, I value my time, I value who I have around me. I don't want certain people around me. I don't want their negative energy around me. I don't want certain things around me either. I think as you get older, that becomes more cherished and more valuable. And you will notice what things or people drain you or light you up. I would encourage you to gravitate towards the things that light you up, that make you feel energized, that make you feel positive. These things are definitely important. The next thing I want to share with you is about your story and your strengths. Everything you've lived through has shaped you. Instead of focusing on your mistakes or regrets, you need to ask yourself, what have I learned and what did I overcome? Your story does hold your strength. It's your foundation for what comes next. A lot of people are holding on to a lot of baggage, a lot of trauma, and might not be able to be at a place where they're able to even think about focusing on something other than mistakes and regrets. There are a lot of women out here who are, holding on to a lot of trauma and a lot of toxic baggage, which is polluting their mindset, polluting, their viewpoint. It's getting in the way of looking on, who they want to be and getting to know themselves past the point where they're at now. And I'm not afraid to say that I had times in my life where I was quite toxic because of childhood abuse, because of other things. I had a negative mindset at times. Going to therapy really helped me to unpack a lot of those things that were holding me back. And I would definitely recommend finding a therapist and investing in therapy to help you if you are somebody who is focused on mistakes or regrets or is stuck with a certain mindset. It is a confidential space for you to explore those things and become, and get a different kind of viewpoint from somebody who's a professional to help you to unpack those things that you've gone through. I don't honestly believe that, and this is from my experience, that I could have been able to be the positive, encouraging person that I am now unless I would have had therapy. I had to come to terms with my past. I had to, forgive myself for things. I had to be at peace with myself about things. I had to work through lots of issues. And in doing that and removing all that stuff, it helped me to make space in my heart and mind for things that are positive. So, I would definitely encourage that. My story has definitely for me held my strength coming from where I've come from. I've been able to become a resilient woman. It's been my foundation for all the things that I'm doing now, encouraging and helping other people. And your story might have a similar journey as well. So that's something I would definitely encourage. Now, before I go, I wanted to share with you quickly how to start to get to know yourself either for the first time or again. I want to share with you how you can reconnect with you. One of the things I would recommend is to spend time alone without distractions, no phones, no scrolling on social media, just silence, even if it's only for 10 minutes a day. This morning I did this, and I have to be very focused on doing it. After my prayer time, just even sitting for 5 minutes in the peace and quiet, and it really makes a difference to my day. So try and find a time in the day that works for you where you can spend without distractions. The next thing I want to share with you is journaling. Thinking about, as you spend time in your journal, what do I want to feel more of in life? What have I outgrown? What am I curious about now? These are really good questions to ask yourself and to think about what it is you want for yourself. The things that suited us in our 20s and 30s might not suit us in our 40s. There's many things that I've outgrown that I haven't carried into my 40s. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need to sit down and think about these things and be honest about these things. And they will give you a different perspective on your life as well. So the next thing I want to share with you is try new experiences. This is something I feel will help you to get to know yourself. Think about things that you'd like to try, things you want to learn, because you learn by doing. Some people can sit around saying, well, I want to experience this or experience that. But the key word is experience. You have to experience it. And how do you experience things? By doing. So think about things now that you would like to try, your new experiences. And try even setting yourself a goal of maybe one by the end of the year. Maybe starting with something small that you've always wanted to do and take it from there. So, if you are over 40 and you're feeling lost, I want you to remember you're not starting over, you're starting afresh. Each time and season in your life was for a time and season, No seasons stay the same. If we look at spring, summer, autumn, winter, they're all different seasons. They're for a time and a period. So, it's not that you're starting over, you're starting afresh. This is your time to build a life that reflects who you truly are and not who you had to be. So before I go, I want to share a Bible scripture with you. It comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1. This, for me, always reminds me that seasons in life never stay the same. And it says, everything has a time. To everything there is a season, a purpose for everything under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep, a time to laugh. A time to mourn, a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones. A time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. A time to gain and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. A time to love, a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. As I said, this Bible scripture always reminds me that there is a time, a reason, and a season for everything in life. The season where you might not have known yourself or had the opportunity to get to know yourself, you now have a season now where you can do that. And as I said, you don't have to seek other people's permission to get to know yourself or to start to know yourself. You need to give yourself permission to do it. And it's as simple as that. And I hope that the things that I've shared in this episode will encourage you on that journey. Thanks for joining me today on Living the Empowered Life podcast. If this episode spoke to you, please do share it with somebody else who needs a reminder that it's never too late to rediscover or to get to know yourself. Also as well, please do check out my books, my empowerment coaching if you feel that you would like support in being able to do this. I'm a certified empowerment coach. Do check out all links in the description box, show notes below, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.